There. Hi, everybody. I was honored when Linda and Jennifer and Dawn asked me to introduce Skip, and Linda reminded me that probably the reason that he's here in Buffalo is because I was so excited about him, and I gave a list of people that I thought we absolutely had to have, and Skip was right at the top of it. When I was just starting to paint back in probably 2003 or 4, my husband gave me a subscription to Palette magazine, which was edited by Skip together with his friend Christopher Schink. And it's still out there. It's called The New Palette because Skip is no longer the editor. But it's a wonderful magazine full of water media ideas and concepts, and no advertising, and real in-depth look at how people do things and why they do them. And a lot of the illustrations were by Skip Lawrence with his description of why he did things. Not so much how, but why he picked the subjects that he did, how important it was to feel passionate about it. I was absolutely hooked. I was totally hooked. And ever since then, I've been following him and watching him develop from what was originally a very fine watercolor artist into an incredibly interesting water media artist. He laughs, but it really true. Skip told me that he started, his first job was teaching high school art. And then he switched to teaching college part-time. And then he looked at that and said, Jesus, I don't like this. I want to just paint. So he's been painting. He's been doing a workshop every summer in Maine for 40 years. He was in Edgar Whitney's class out in I think in California, when he was 29 years old. He's an incredible teacher and an inspiration to everybody that he meets. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Skip. And right now we got an interesting view of his studio. It's set up. So Skip, go for it.
Very small studio. Now this is my setup. I find that people are interested in this, so I thought I would get this over with pretty quickly. But getting back to the more important thing of what we're talking about here is I'm a great believer in art should be something that's creative, not imitative. And I'm afraid that the minute you have a subject matter plastered in front of you, you tend to turn into a copy machine. You know, it's wonderful. There's a lot of plein air painters, and I think it's wonderful to go outside and enjoy the weather in most places anyway. But the problem with that is anytime you don't know what to do to your painting, you go to the source to see what's there, and that winds up making most of your decisions about painting. So I've asked people to paint things they can't see. I just put together a 5-segment or 5-day workshop called Painting What You Can't See. And yeah, I know that sounds a little crazy for an artist, but in truth, it's not. As a matter of fact, I have good company. Picasso, throughout his life, kept talking about artists should have their eyes put out. They should be blinded. His purpose was, by doing that, now you're actually telling us what you think, what you find important, not what you can do. So I thought that was right on the money, that painting what you can't see are the important issues of our life. For example, what is more important to you, love or a barn? Fear or, a Christmas tree? All the things we can see give us some clues. Like if I do a part, I draw a red heart, that represents love. But if I take all those visual things away and say, okay, I want you to do a painting based on love or fear or whatever, could you do it? And you can. And I've seen lots of people who've done that, and they do it quite well if they just will give it a shot. So, if I say, what color is love? Well, I would hope you would say red, pink, orange, yellow, but not brown, gray. If love for you is brown and gray, you need to find a different love or a different person or something. So, those are the things that we really live with. I just went as a matter of fact, twice in the last month, I've gone into Baltimore and seen the show of Joan Mitchell, who I hope you're all familiar with her. If not, you should be. She was really abstract expressionist. Her work is big. It was based on landscapes, but there's not a flower. There's no symbol that you would recognize as being an object that would be conveying the feeling of she has for nature. But they're beautiful, beautiful paintings. And one of them I particularly liked was 96 inches tall and 200 inches wide. And if I could have gotten in my car, I would have bought it, but it wasn't going to work. Anyway, big, beautiful painting. And she worked large most of the time. Big, beautiful painting. Not about what nature looks like, about how it responds to it. I would ask all of you, maybe you're doing it already, but I would ask those of you who are stuck in subject matter, and with a camera or with photographs or going out in the country and finding something to paint. Don't go out there, paint what you think nature feels like, what excites you about it. And I think it's something much further beyond what a tree looks like, or bark, or limbs. And even people who use it representation, like I always think of David Hockney, who paints a lot of things that are very real, but not the way he paints them. He translates these things into symbols, and those symbols become his tool. You're trying to find something, and in my own case, I paint with always looking for something that would be unique to me. I don't want to be a watercolorist. I don't want to be an oilist or an acrylicist. I don't want to have some way of painting. I'm trying to find something that is only I would do that mark, only I would make that color choice. And I ask my students all the time, do that. Think about what is unique about your taste, about the things you enjoy. And that's who you would be as a painter. That's the creative part of you. Copying stuff is copying stuff. There's a great quote in Robert Henry's book, The Art Spirit. He said, a picture is a painting of something, but a painting is something. Put that in your notebook, look at it every day. Is this a picture of something, or is this something that I've made? This is something that I've felt. This is something I know. So I'm going to be doing this demonstration tonight, and I'm going to be painting figures, but I have no figures, I have no drawing, I have no sketches, and that's how I paint. And I'll show you how I begin these things, but first I want to show you how I set this palette up, since you've been looking at it for 10 minutes. This is a butcher's tray that I got back in the war. And if I could find my spray bottle, here it is. You take this freezer paper, and you spray the bottom of your butcher's tray, and you put that in there so it goes to all 4 sides. And then one of my favorite tools, you might want to get these, start writing these things down. You're going to want to have every one of these. This is called a Japan blade, and they use it for faux painting, but I use it because it's flexible and it will do all kinds of neat things. I'll try to show you some of them, but I can just move this out. Oh, I put water on the top too. Let me get a little water up in here. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. You do this so you don't have to clean the palette. That's not a lot of fun cleaning the palette up every night. So I just pull this off, throw it away, and I'm ready for the next one. I also try to keep things simple and as direct as I possibly can. So my palette is not 900 different pigments. I have 3 colors I basically work with. You all know these primaries. This is yellow. And I use a yellow that's more on the orange side because I like it. That's the only reason. This is cad red light. And I use this because I like some people say alizarin crimson is red. I don't think so. I think it's red violet. And if I want red, I want red. This is ultramarine blue. This could be cobalt, but I'm going to use. Can you see that? Yes, you can. Then I have on this side, there's a jar of gesso, an 8-ounce jar, I think it is. And I'll give you a little secret about that. White is cold color, it doesn't do much for your painting. Look at the color of this freezer paper and the color of my white paint. Can you see it at all? See, they're very different. When I buy one of these containers of gesso, I put a little dollop, a little squeeze of cad yellow light and a little squeeze of yellow ochre. And I stir it up and it'll give me a white, which is, will read as white, but it has a warmth. That's all I'm gonna tell you about that. This is black gesso, that's white gesso. This is a water container. This is a skipper brush, which was named after me, but it really was kind of crazy. I asked Joe Miller to get these brushes, so he did. He got them somewhere and called them skippers. I had nothing to do with it, except I like it. It's bristle brush, and for people who paint in watercolor and it has to be soft and soupy, they won't like this. This is a pretty stiff brush. This is a more traditional round table brush, and this is one of my favorite brushes, which you get at any, hardware store or craft store. It's called a chip brush or a sash brush. It says pure sable. Well, there was a very bad year for sables. Let me tell you, these things are. This brush cost $1, so you know it's not really from Siberia. Look at that magic, the way I did that.
What a pro you are.
Oh, God. You have no idea. You have no idea how much I suffer getting ready for this thing. I mean, it's just like, God, am I ever going to, and it all has to do with the computer. Like tonight, it took 10 minutes to get the thing to show up. Anyway, back to happiness. Most of the stuff I use, Chief Joe Miller is a friend of mine and has been for many, many years. I was his first teacher. He took a workshop from me in Greensboro, and we've been good friends ever since. So I use his stuff. I don't think it's any better, any worse, but I like Joe, so I use Joe's stuff. And obviously I have to have a skipper brush. I also want to give a plug here. I have just come out with this 5-day workshop, which you can buy. You can get it at skiplawrence.thinkific.com, painting what you cannot see. I don't know how you can live without it. It's just thrill binding, terrorizing, something. So let me show you how I begin this thing of painting what you can't see, and how I'm going to use it. This is a cheap brush. I use it all the time because I can't hurt it. I'm going to take a little of this yellow and a little bit of red and a little bit of blue, so I get some sort of a mixture. And the first thing I'll do, if you think about human beings, the biggest part of us is from our neck to where our legs begin. That would be this whole torso thing. Now doing that with this brush loaded with those different colors is marvelous. Then I'll put a head somewhere up there and maybe soften part of this. Then I also have some white here. I'm going to use a little white. This guy's got on blue jeans. The addition of some white sometimes is necessary. But this is how I think about figures. this being my approach to figures, I can do them any size I want. They don't have to be little, but we used to put them in sketchbooks, so they start off little and I just stay there. Another thing I will do is I'll take that, what's it called? Japan's blade, and I can just scrape, well, I didn't get enough paint on there. I gotta do that again. Oh, look, the head showed up. I didn't even have to do it. That's good. You could have a lot of fun doing these. They're so little. And you can even, after you've done some, then you can say, well, what if I want to do someone bent over? Well, instead of put it this way, you put it this way. You put it at an angle. Now they say, well, what this guy's doing? Well, maybe he's looking for something in the grass down there. And then I also, you'll see this as I go into other parts of this demonstration. I like the idea of making transitions, not by just adding water, but by actually drawing lines through these. Of course, you should have some lid on there when you do this. You know, just doing that, you interlock that figure. And one of the problems I find with a lot of people's paintings, they really like hard edges. They can't get them crisp enough, which freezes everything. You know, it's not the case that everything is hard edge. I mean, I hope you don't think you're hard edge. I think you can see I enjoy doing this. And I believe if you don't enjoy it, you should do something else, you know, unless you just like suffering. So, and I think some people do. I also like the idea of if something doesn't appeal to me, I change it. Now you have an option, you know, you could whine, you know, but it's not going to help much. So I think that makes the point that you don't need to have figures. You simply have to have some concept of the big shape of a figure is nothing more than that rectangle. The head is an appendage, which is generally goes beneath the chin is beneath your shoulder line. They have left arm, right arm. I'm gonna have this guy sitting down and I'll put him in a chair. So, I mean, that's easy to do. I don't think you have to have a degree in figure study. They're going to the Wednesday night paint along where everyone tries to draw his figure accurately. In my opinion, this is only my opinion, that's pretty much a waste of your life. Going there to draw someone you don't know, you have no feelings for them, and they take their clothes off. If I go home and my wife is up on the table with no clothes on, striking a pose, my first thought is not, oh, I've got to get my paints out. You know, so think about it in terms of, you know, what is the thrilling part of doing this? And I also like the idea, where's my spray bottle? Right here. I like this too. See, if you spray that, you get all kinds of nice little, come on, you can drip. You can also do this.
I'm gonna mute myself, Chip.
You might want to get a finger. Anyway, you might want to try some of those. You know, once you've made them that size, you can start making them larger. So I'm going to be painting figures tonight, but I'm not really painting figures. I'm not trying to show you what a figure looks like. I'm pretty sure that you know what a figure human being looks like. So I can't tell you, and I'm sure as hell not into portraiture. That's, to me, is just the worst thing in the world. For me, some people do it well, they love it, but for me, it's just a lot of, somebody said a portrait is a painting of a person with something wrong with the nose. If you've ever tried portraiture, you know what they're talking about. So I will give myself all the freedom I can by doing something like this very expensive brush. When you get to be 3 inches, they're $3. And I'm going to swirl this around here through some of these colors and do it.
Is that acrylics good?
Yeah. But it wouldn't matter if I was doing it in watercolor, I'd do it the same way, which is kind of telling about people. They think that if you're doing watercolor, you have to use a lot of water. Who said? Who decided that? Or if you're doing acrylic, it has to be thick. None of that stuff is true. I was going to do 3 figures. I may have to do a whole town here. If you are finding your paint is getting awfully tight, tedious, monotonous, you get one of these babies and go ahead and show me how tight you can be. You can't. You know, you'd have to have special. My finishing brush. You know, you ask yourself when you're painting, are you having fun? I see a lot of people like look at their paint and all I can think is, God, they suffered something awful trying to get all those little windows in and all the little blades of grass. And that, you know, that's fine if that's what turns you on, but you don't have to do that. That's all I'm saying. You don't have to suffer. Oh, she's pretty.
I have a question that I haven't thought of yet. You.
But
You paint every day?
sure, I can't do anything else. I tried computer programming. That wasn't gonna work. Yeah, I do. I mean, that's what I do. That's what I've always done. I think I was 6 years old when I started drawing, and I've never stopped. And I do have a degree from Maryland Institute College of Art and to Towson University, which I majored in fine art. But I'm not sure they taught me a hell of a lot about how to really get into this thing, because what are they going to tell you? How to? One thing about painting is you don't want to, it's not so much what it is, it's where it is. You know, this color is important because it's where it is relative to things around it. Looks like somebody's leg. You guys have Ace Hardware here in town?
Yeah.
These brushes, you can get a basket full of them for next to nothing. And they come guaranteed you're going to get free because you can't control them. And if one of the paint dries on it, you just get another one. Boy, it's drying quickly. I keep thinking I must be in some place. This is my studio, it's where I come every day, so. The point of that was that sometimes I think, because you're here and I'm talking to you, that we're all in one room, but none of us are in the same room. If you will give yourself permission to just follow your nose, you'll find that you're a much better painter than you thought. There's something I have on the wall of my studio from someone I admire greatly, Wolf Kahn. And Wolf Kahn's little things to live by was, one of them was, one of my favorites was, I don't give a damn. That's nice, isn't it? You know, I don't give a damn. I can't remember what some of the others were. See, that's I don't give a damn. But that doesn't mean you have to leave it just like that. You can come back and say, that creates a nice shape in there. Something else that will help you in your paint, no matter how you want to paint, is the design can be very confusing. It can put a lot of hurdles in your way, but it can be very simple. And design is nothing more than a lot of one thing against a little bit of something else. You know, when I get finished with a paint, it's going to have a predominance of a color, a value, texture, one of those, not all of them. Straight lines, curved lines, something's got to unify the painting. And if you don't have that, you don't have much prayer. So I'm going to tell you right now, this painting is going to be mostly red and orange. You might have any questions? I mean, I'm here just plain talking. Well, if you have any questions, I'm glad to give you my opinion.
Yeah, unmute yourself if you're muted, if you have a question.
It's Christina. Skip,
Hi,
are you?
Christina. I know
Hi.
you.
Are you using black gesso for the black
Yes. And white gesso.
and white gesso?
What do you use?
I use ivory black. I
You-
don't even own black gesso. To get,
Special?
why do you prefer?
Yeah, that's a good question. Why do you prefer gesso over some other, like an acrylic black or?
The best reason of all, it comes in a big tube, it's cheap. That's it. And it does the same thing, you know, listen, a tube of titanium black, or not titanium black, ivory, whichever one, it's expensive. This stuff is practically give it to you.
That's true, but it's more fluid, isn't it? The gesso than the paint.
This is more fluid.
Fluid, yeah, like it moves more easily around. No?
No, it's not more or less. It's just like if you squeeze it out of a tube, it's the same thing.
Mhm.
Do you think it is? What do you think?
Well, I work with white gesso. I find it is, I don't know, it's a little bit more like using house paint than titanium white out of the tube. But that's just me.
Yeah, I know. See, by working the way I am, you're going to get all these little pieces. And if one color you put next to that is going to make both of them even more interesting or less interesting. So I look for those little spots, you know, where I can have some fun. And I also like the idea of, I like white paint because it's thick and that costs way too much. Give me an A, A. I'm gonna have to move this over just a bit so I can get to the other side. This is actually pretty nice to paint on something, you know, where you have to stay out of the way because you can't get too controlling.
When you were painting watercolor, were you controlling? Did you remember?
Excuse me,
When you were in your early watercolor phases? Were
was
you?
I more in control?
Yes.
Absolutely. I mean, I took the damn pill just like everyone else. You know, you had to do this, you had to do that. But then I found that it makes no sense. Who said that I had to do it this way? And no one asked me.
Skip, you always paint vertically.
Yes, not this vertical, but this is for you.
Thank you.
You mean as opposed to flat?
Yes.
Yeah. I get that question quite often. I'm always tempted to say, as long as I'm alive.
There's just natural movement. It's really cool.
When you started out this, or when you started thinking about it for what you were going to do, you said, I'm going to do a painting with 3 people in it.
Yeah, I said that.
And do you care about these people, or are you just there?
I care about people. I'm not gonna, these are not specific people. This is
Gotcha.
how people are. They do all these things. You know, I'm not even concerned about a particular person. This is humanity. Something bigger than. And I love doing this. This is the most famous thing I ever did. And I believe me, I had no intention of being cute about it, but somewhere along the line, someone reminded me of it. I took a tube of paint and I squoze it onto the paper. Well, my God, you would have thought that I had broken all the commandments and changed the world, because you can't do that. But you can. I just did. And I'm not trying to be cute. I just want that color. It's no different. If I squeeze it out here and then pick it up, put it over there, it's still the same thing. I wish I knew what you were thinking.
Skip, I'm Sue Turgay from Hendersonville, North Carolina. I'm loving this. This is exactly why I don't watch demos, because I'll go home and try and do it tomorrow.
Well, go ahead.
Hey, Sue. Nice to
Hey
see you.
there,
Great to see you.
great to be here.
Where do you live?
I'm from Hendersonville. I hired you to do the banners for our city and they look
Oh,
wonderful.
that's right. Yeah, they do
Yeah.
look great. I had no idea what I was even doing, but I love them.
Oh, they're great. Thank you.
What she's talking about is they had I selected a show, and the ones that who were included in the show, they built banners. So they're these big banners that hang all over town. Is that true?
Yes, yes, it is.
And they sent me, I didn't go down to Hendersonville to see them, but they sent me images of it. It's beautiful. I think every town should do that.
I do too.
Who came up with that one?
Oh, a town in West Virginia did it, and then we copied them. This is
I'm
our
sure
fifth
you-
year.
How many?
5 years, not counting COVID year.
Skip, Sue was our workshop artist about 7 years ago, 6 years ago? I think.
Where
I
was
don't
it?
know, but it was fun.
She came and did the 1 week's workshop for us. And that you were gonna do if COVID hadn't gotten in the way. We're so glad that you're doing this, though. I see
love it.
birds. I see lots of birds.
You see birds?
Yeah, I see birds with 6 legs. Fat birds with trees growing out of their back.
I love it. Exactly what I was trying to do, birds.
Oh, we have a chat. Who's this? Somebody wants to know, Don wants to know, are you spraying with water?
Yes. I am. I'd use that color, but it's too hard to open, so. This is I mean, I'm not trying to start something, but this is a transparent watercolor society.
Yes. No, we don't have transparent in our name. It's with but in our bylaws, it says that it was founded because years ago, the Albright Knox, which is the big fancy art gallery and art museum in the area, had a show of like a regional show of art, and they put watercolor in with crafts. This is about 30 years ago. And
Yeah,
the
I get it.
watercolor artists became a roaring group of mad painters and decided that, well, if that's the way the Albright Knox feels about us, then we're going to form our own group and we're going to have a show. So they invited anybody who painted in watercolor to be in a show, and they thought they'd get maybe 20 people or something. And I don't know the exact numbers, but it was close to 60 people brought their paintings. And shortly after that, they decided to form a watercolor society whose main task in life was to teach people about watercolor. And it's transparent watercolor in some parts of the bylaws, but not everywhere. And it said there would be one show a year. So we have at least one show of transparent watercolor every year, but then we also have water media shows, because we're following the rule that says you have to have one, but it doesn't say that you have to have all of your shows in transparent watercolor. So
I'm almost a beginner member. I attended the second meeting, and it was transparent and it drove me nuts. Thank you for expanding it.
well,
There's nothing wrong with it, except if it becomes a rule that you have to, then it seems to be anti-art.
well, people who really think about it go back and look at the masters from the past, like Winslow Homer and Charles Birchfield, and they used
Yeah.
white. They used
Go
white.
ahead.
A lot of white. Body color, it was called.
Absolutely. They all use tons of white paint. But we somehow said, well, that's not real painting.
There are all kinds of points of view. And I think the way we're set up now, we make everybody happy. So that's a good thing. You got to have a few dictators, right, Skip?
Right.
We do have some beautiful water painters in transparent watercolor here in this area.
Oh, listen, in 1992, I won what my friend called the Break Wind Award. Actually, it was the High Winds Medal.
What's funny about the Break Wind Award?
Yeah, we be facetious. Anyway, I mean, I knew how to do it and I loved it, but I also love this. So I don't think I should have to do that forever.
No.
Right? I mean,
Right.
this is supposed to be art.
Skip, what are
Yo.
you using for those lines?
Would you be talking about the color?
It is a
A brush.
brush. Oh, it's a brush. Okay, I
Yeah.
couldn't tell.
It's a
Thank
very
you.
expensive brush. Some things that I can tell you, which you could figure this out on your own, but it would take too long. Painters at some point have to be very, very interested in edges. And because you need things to breathe and need things to come into a painting and go out of the painting. And in true transparent watercolor, it's only done with water or softening the edge, using a bristle brush. And like something like this, if you just took that and scumbled it, you get a softer edge. And what you need that, like my basic premise of how you should paint with it is what happens on the East Coast in terms of how hard that edge is, this edge, should not happen on the other edge. This is made up of straight lines. The other side is curved. And broken somehow. This is another form of transition. You've actually scraped through these things. So now, and it's just common sense. If you have two edges and they're both identical, you're boring the hell out of me. Why would you want to do that in paint? If the East Coast is going to do one thing, make sure you're doing something else on the other coast. And that's something you can depend on. You can see it. I need to squeeze out more paint. Another reason to give yourself permission to do whatever comes to your mind is you don't want to just keep doing the same thing over and over until you get to be boring. I'm looking out there as if you people are out there. And you're not, you're in this machine here. So, you know, you just think, I'm having fun. I'm doing this for me. And I hope that some people might find it interesting. If they look at the paint, say, and I one time, the National Gallery in Washington had a show of Winslow Homer's surf painting. And a friend of mine who was big muckety muck in Social Security, he went with me to see this show. Every painting, he walked up to it and said, look at that, white paint. Look at that, white paint. Look at that, white paint. I was going to strangle him to death. I mean, he never mentioned the painting, but only that there was all done with white, or they use white paint. Huh.
So Skip, when you are doing these figure paintings, do you usually start with the figure and then work through the background?
Probably, yeah. I wouldn't swear to that, but
You do?
I think so.
Mhm.
Your three people are wearing masks.
Mask? Yeah, they're wanted by the law.
You've probably judged hundreds of shows, I would guess. Is that true?
Yeah.
Is there anything that does it change from time to time what you look for, or do you have any kind of comment? Nothing.
No, I mean, the best judges that you could find are someone who's responding to what you're doing, not how you're doing it. You know, it's art, for God's sake. You shouldn't have rules and you can't do this, you can't do that. You know, you just have to respond to it. I mean, that's how I judge a show. If I like it, I give it an award. If I don't give it an award. But that doesn't mean I'm right. It just means that's how I felt about it. This is getting awfully busy, and I will probably have to do some. And I don't think a paint's ever done. I think we just stop painting. You know, at some point you say, well, that's. This is one of my favorite non-colors. It's called warm gray, and I love it. I just love it. And to prove it, I'm going to take this piece right here. Isn't that a great color? Well, maybe not.
It's pretty shiny. It's hard to tell what the color is.
Pretty shiny.
Yeah.
That
Now
good, right?
you can see it against a bright red.
Yeah.
One of my favorite combinations.
Is what?
Cad red light and that warm gray.
Oh, yeah. I think that's a cheap Joe's color, isn't it?
Yeah. It's the only place I can find it, actually.
You couldn't?
It's the only place I could find it.
Oh, yeah, they only one that makes it. They're the only one that makes Skip's green, too.
Hmm.
One of the least favorite color in the world. Got my name on it. They did research to what color people like the least. They didn't say hate. And that came in number one. I called Joe, I said, thanks a lot, Joe. Because he never asked me about this, he just did it, and I'm gonna sue him. I've just been waiting for my chance. This guy looks like he came out of laboratory.
Looks like a hockey player with a cast on.
That's
Yeah.
exactly what I was trying to get, was a hockey player. You know, I'm not doing this trying to show you how to paint. If you're going to get anything out of what I'm doing here, it's how to free yourself up to do stuff that you don't know how to do it. You know, because that's how you get better, is not doing what you already know how to do, but doing stuff that you don't know what you're doing. I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. I mean, what the hell are you gonna learn doing a painting you already know how to do? I heard one of my peers say one time, he never did a bad painting. And the reason is he kept doing the same 5 paintings over and over and over and over. Well, hell yeah, if you do them all, never change them, you're gonna get pretty good at it. What time is it? Oh my God, it's 8 o'clock. I did bring some other stuff here to show you. I mean, I can keep painting on this till the paint gets so thick I can't get it off. But then I actually like some of that thick paint. I don't like this guy here. I'm gonna change him. And I think I'm gonna put a beard on him. Huh.
Green, for one other.
Dear God,
What's that?
my damn phone, which I suppose have turned that off. That was a thing that Lynn told me to do and I forgot.
Well, that was a very interesting ring.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh my God, now I got someone. That was Joe Miller saying hello. Don't ask me how I did that. It was a mistake. I didn't even realize the lights were out the whole time. Hello.
Gracious.
What's puppy?
Oh.
Whose puppy is that?
Rhymes.
I thought it was Cheap Joe.
I'm gonna,
This is one of the things you know, we have to look for little thrills in doing this. Because God knows you must have done some paintings that didn't work out exactly the way you hoped. You know, it turned out to be pretty bad. But I love pulling this tape off. No matter how bad the painting is, once you pull the tape off, it gets better.
Yeah.
What type of paper did you use, Skip?
The Kilimanjaro 300-pound.
Is that what you use as a standard?
Yeah,
Thank you.
I like it.
Is it watercolor paper?
Yes, it is.
Thank you.
100% watercolor paper.
If you're interested in Kilimanjaro, folks, NFWS has ordered some. And I've got samples that you can try in the meantime.
I didn't hear what you said. Could you repeat that?
What I was just telling them that NFWS has ordered some Kilimanjaro for our members to work on.
Oh, really? Oh, good.
300 pound?
I've got a 300-pound sample. You can try it.
Isn't,
Thanks, Deb.
am I right in saying that it's comes from the same press or the same print or paper manufacturer as Fabriano?
Did I just cut her head off? Yeah, she did.
I think it does. I think they changed the name of their, but it's the same paper, but it's less expensive.
I've heard that as well.
I heard that from Robert Burridge during his workshop, because that's all he uses too.
What he uses is what?
He uses Kilimanjaro.
No, does he?
I thought the Fabriano was a different paper.
It's a different paper name by the same paper press.
I didn't know that.
I
Well,
didn't know that either.
check my facts here. Somebody can be a fact checker, but if what I said is not accurate, then you can blame Bob Burridge.
Mhm.
These are cool.
Mhm.
You're so close we can't see her head either. Or is her head cut off?
I don't care for heads, so I'll cut them off.
Oh, it's partially cut off. Yep.
Mm.
Ooh. There.
It's not perfect. Is it?
Good enough.
Mhm.
I did all these, I have a way of just building a structure of a head. And I just line them all up in boxes and then I start burying them, which is a fun thing to do. If you've never tried it, you need to give yourself a shot at this. If you like people. What I do to do,
Can you turn it so that we can see the bottom of the paper?
God, you want everything, don't you?
Yes. There, thank you.
Here's what I do with those. I put the eye socket under the nose, the top lip, under the bottom lip, and under the chin. And that gives me a face. Then I connect some of these things. Stick an ear on it. And then does that look like Bing Crosby to you?
No.
Me either. I just thought it.
You just made that look a lot easier than it actually is to do.
Boo, 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 boo.
Now it does.
Yeah.
We needed the soundtrack.
There's extra charge for that singing, Oh, Vaughn Monroe. Anyway, you can do these. Then you say, well, I want to do one from the side. So the eye, one eye is here. The other eye would be smaller under the nose, the top lip, under the bottom lip, cut around this edge, put some hair on it. You have another figure. So, you just try that sometimes. It's fun. It's fun to do, fun to do. Wearing me out here.
Let me ask you another question. Do
Yeah.
you always put, when you get your paintings ready to show, do you always put them under glass in a frame, or do you?
No, I don't like glass.
Okay.
One of the reasons I paint with acrylic is I don't see any reason to put it on the glass.
So what kind of framing do you do then?
any frame, you know, we tend to think that that they're protecting them, but it's plastic on a rag, so we're not going to hurt it in any way. But it doesn't need glass to protect it, so sometimes I'll just. Do I have it in here?
This is good. Looks good.
Ooh. Not if I can.
Where are you going? Where are you?
I left, I had it. That won't work.
Oh, we can see it.
Well, not really. But anyway, these, all these paints on down here are all acrylic on canvas, and there's an oil painting back there. I paint on with any material, you know, on just about any surface. Because it doesn't make much difference. Nothing's gonna hurt that acrylic paint. You know, and people who actually coat it will put polymer medium on top of plastic paint. Why? It's already plastic. How damn permanent do you want it to be? This is all acrylic, but it looks somewhat like pastel, doesn't it?
Mhm.
Soft.
So it has a mat. Would you just put a frame as if,
Yeah, just put a frame around it. You know, you want to make sure it's attached well along the edge here so it doesn't hook out. But yeah, that's all you need to do. And even a better thing to do is, you know, just attach it to a piece of paper to a piece of foam core or gator board and paint on it. Then you don't have to do anything, just hang on the wall. But you know, some people like frames and some people like buying frames. I always thought that people like, is there no chance that I'm going to pick out a frame that matches your taste? You know, some people really want to get their own frame, and I think they should.
yeah, it saves a lot of cost, that's for sure.
I mean, you could spend a lot of money on a frame that somebody says, I hate that frame. I remember way back 100 years ago, I did one outdoor show in my life. I said, never again. The potential buyer wanted painting A in frame B with mat C. You take them all apart and reassemble them so that, I said, no, I can't do it. Turn the thing on so we can talk a little bit. I guess you can talk, or you're not allowed to talk.
Everybody can talk, but you have to turn it. We'd like to see your face. Can you do the flip so that we get on your face?
Yeah, yeah, you watch this. I'll flip it right around here.
Can hardly wait.
There you go.
Thank you. We can see the one behind you that's a really beautiful one, the orange and red and black.
Yeah, that's two 45-inch frames put together. I call that a dipty.
It's nice.
I can't get used to you not being here. I keep wanting to hold something up so you can see it, but you can't see it unless I put it.
No, you can hold that up in front of you if you want us to see it without.
How's it look now?
Can't see you.
Put it up on your chest.
Oh,
Why is it so dark?
Mm.
That's good.
I can't wait to try this.
Yeah, good. I hope so. You know, and like that quote by Wolf Kahn, I don't give a shit. He said, that's my mantra. I put that up on my studio wall, and I'm not going to be suckered into doing this for someone else. There's lots of things that will retard your development. One of them is winning awards, getting into shows, selling them. Once you sell them, you're almost stuck for life. So don't sell anything, don't let anybody see them, just paint them.
I think, you're serious.
Well, I don't think you want us to do these things thinking you have to sell them.
Right.
I always think it's a compliment. If somebody wants to buy my painting, even if they don't buy it, if they want to, I think that's a compliment. And I like people to have my paintings, but I'm not going to hawk them like you have to buy so many and you get a free trip to Cleveland.
I just want to say that I have been working with Skip for almost 3 years, all remote. And we met in a workshop at Greenville at the Hudson Valley Workshop. And I can't put into words how he has helped me think about painting in a whole new way. That has just freed me up. I can't stop painting. I love it. And I'm just exploring and exploring and exploring. And he is just an amazing teacher and mentor, and has guided me. I was very disappointed we had to cancel the workshop.
Me too. But I wish I could show you the last 2 years of her work, because she wasn't very good when she no, but she has really, made great strides. Her work is terrific.
Christina?
She was in my mentoring class for 2 years. I finally told her, no more. We're wasting your money now. You're doing it exactly what you should be doing. So
I graduated.
graduated, yeah.
I think somebody has a question for you. Who said Christina?
Christina, do you have a website we can see your work?
I do. It's ChristinaHPaul.com.
Okay, thank you.
And I've been putting new stuff on there. I've gone into doing some figure work also. And my main thing when I met Skip was I really wanted to paint, but I didn't know what to paint.
Mhm.
And I used to do still lifes, I did landscapes, all of those things. But all of a sudden it was like, you don't have to set up that still life anymore. So it's a whole new process and just joy of painting. That's really what he's taught me, among many things.
Listen, anything that I've taught you is minor. You did all the work, and God bless you, because you really are good.
Well,
I don't
thank
spread that around very nicely either.
no, he doesn't. He's always frank.
Yeah, take a look at her work.
Oh, I will. I'm at a point like that where I don't know where to go from here.
Who's that?
I'm Susan Webb-Tregay.
Oh, I didn't recognize your voice.
Yeah, I did a huge series, and then I did a 54 painting series, and now what do?
Mhm.
So I'm anxious to look at your stuff.
I'm gonna put you
I
up.
know your work. You're a professional. Thank you for coming, for turning things on. Good painter.
Thank you.
Have good painters in the class.
Another good teacher, Skip. She's a great teacher.
Yeah, I see her. I see a lot of stuff on there. You've been in Cheap in the catalog or the Palette magazine?
Oh, I've been around a
You've been
lot.
around,
Yeah.
yeah. People say
I wrote
about
a
you,
book.
she's been around.
I wrote a book. I'll live forever on Amazon with a book. But anyway,
Well, it's great having both of you here to talk about Skip and about yourselves.
That's a great painting behind you there, that brightly colored. That-
yeah, that's my old series. Yeah, there were 164 of those in that series. I burned out.
464, that's called my life. That's one thing about, we're trying to, I'm going to do more of these virtual workshops, but I need to find some way that we can actually, I need to talk to the people about what they're doing and not having to hold a paint up over their head with bent. I mean, that's not working for me.
Yeah.
And if any of you know a better way to do it, let me know, but I am going to come up with something. I have a mentoring program, which is what we were just talking about.
Can you
And in that
show
case,
your
I
face?
suggest you do like 5 paintings, you send them to me, I put them in Procreate. I can actually copy them, work on them, then we have a session of an hour and talk about them. And that's what, I think that's a good way to do it.
We'd love to see your face again.
What?
Love to see your face again,
My face?
Mhm.
so we can see who you are. Where are you? There he is.
You know, Skip, what you were just saying about, hi, what you were just saying about your mentoring program, and I'm new to Skip's mentoring program, but what you do when you put the paintings into Procreate, that is an amazing just lesson as a painter, because you'll take something that I did and with just a few changes, you will just, bam, just transform it. And then you'll help me to understand why it's not just different, but better in so many ways. And boy, it's just an amazing one-on-one. So helpful. And as I say, I'm pretty new to it. One time you did confuse me with another Linda, and you told me I'd improved so much in 5 days.
I did, there's this woman named Linda Slade.
Thanks a lot.
And I got, she sent her stuff, I said, God damn, she has really gotten good in like a matter of weeks.
And then I posted a bunch of Anders Zorn work and said, look what I did, Skip. And he said, wow, you really improved. But no, it's just an amazing experience to work one-on-one. It really. The other thing is I'm part of Skip's, his master class. Skip has like a pre-recorded series master class, and I'm doing those exercises. He has a Padlet where we can, which is just a sharing site where we can put our work up and look at what other artists are doing. That's also been great, just a great learning experience.
Yeah, that's the thing I was talking about. To get that, if you go to, you might keep telling the right one, thinkific.com, painting what you cannot see, you can see the course. And I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's awesome.
So does anybody else have any questions for Skip?
Skip, can you tell us when you did your painting with your 3 figures just now, can you talk to us about composition?
Composition is really simple. It's a lot to a little. That's all you need to know about it. And in college, you have 1 semester of the elements. The next semester was the principles, thousands of hours wasted on that stuff when it boils down. Yeah, it's like my best paintings and the best of anyone's painting. This painting is mostly what? Can you see that? I'm pointing to something. You don't even know what the hell I'm talking about.
No, we're looking at you again.
Well, you lucky people. Come on.
Still looking at you, hon.
I know.
There you go.
See this painting?
Yeah.
I'm gonna put it sideways. We use the word dominance, but we don't clarify what it means. What is this painting? Is mostly, it's mostly what?
White
Or off-white.
or off-white.
That's all you need to know about design. That one I was just working on in the class is going to be mostly bright colors, mostly red when I get finished with it. So you just have to pick out, well, what's going to, like the one I showed you with it. That mostly gray, right?
Mhm.
That's design. That's all there is to design. It's a lot of something against a little bit of something else. And anyone that tries to convince you of otherwise is, they don't know what they're talking about. It's simple. It's one of those things that's so simple that we miss it. We get confused. Here, I'm gonna walk down here and get this little thing. You still there?
Yep.
I'll be back.
Okay.
This paint is mostly what?
Yellow.
Oh,
Good.
That's a nice one.
Now, Skip, when
This
you,
one is mostly,
oh, blue, yeah.
Blue.
But Skip, you don't always know that before you start your painting. It seemed like you kind of decided that as you were doing your demo tonight, you decided that that red would be dominant, right?
yeah, I said it was gonna be red. But listen, you can change your mind right up to the end and take it something else. When you get finished, it is when it needs a dominant. It's
Okay.
not essential that you predetermine what the dominance is going to be. In this case, I took 6 24 by 24 canvases. I painted them red, white, blue, black, white, and gray. And I did a paint on each one of them, and each one would have that dominance. These were 2 of them. I'm hung up here, I'm hung up. Huh. And I mean, here's another way to think about it. What would you say, Andrew Wise, his paints are mostly what?
Texture.
That's number 2,
Subdued,
neutral.
neutral, subdued.
Neutral, warm, and then rough. How about Van Gogh?
Color.
Saturation.
Yes, pure. You just can't say color. All paintings are made with color,
Well,
but you have to say that pure colors or clean colors or saturated colors. Think of your favorite painter, say what dominates their painting. It's mostly. And you won't find an exception to that. I mean, that show I just saw of Helen, or not Helen Frankfeld,
Joni.
Joan Mitchell, bright, clean colors. And arrange them all kinds of different ways. I love her. Next time you're going to paint, instead of saying, what am I going to paint? How am I going to paint it? Say, what is the feeling tone I'm going for here? Is this a celebration, or is it, painful, or what are you trying to say? And it doesn't have to be an emotion. You say, I'm going to explore nuances of gray for this whole canvas. So, that's going to give you a particular kind of feeling. But if I start putting lights and darks and warms and cools, which is what I find to be the big problem with people painting, they're trying to give you everything they ever knew about every subject in every painting. Light and dark and warm and cool and smooth and rough and vertical, horizontal, oblique. It's, you can't read it. It's like a book written in 7 languages.
Skip, I thought that, this is Susie Stevenson in Chicago. I thought that exercise you gave us in the workshop I took with you, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks ago was really terrific, where you had us masking tape, basically a full sheet, and then do what you're basically talking about in 16 different blocks. It's what this class might want to try that. I thought it was very, very helpful, because you would go, oh, now what does this look like? Is this, which one of these colors is your mother-in-law or whatever?
And this is a good way to start painting.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Why is that so dark?
It's not
Looks
dark.
good
It's
from
okay,
here.
it's fine.
Yeah, looks good.
That's dark.
Skip,
Anyway,
do you ever
that's
sketch first or do you go right to painting?
Excuse me?
Do you ever sketch anything first on your paper or you
No.
just go, okay, love that.
See, this is what I did here, and you can all do this. I took a piece of paper and had, there 16 of them? Yeah. And I just taped it off, and then I just arbitrarily, I took black paint and with it over top of the tape that's on here, I painted through all of them, just with a line. I went through every one of them. Then I did the same thing with red, blue, white, just drawing through them and then line. Then after I did that, which I had no idea what was going to dominate any of them, then I went back and said, I'm going to make this one mostly light gray. I'm going to make this one black. I'm going to make this one red, make that one warm neutral. This one is going to be out of a flesh cut, see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So this one's mostly what?
Yellow. Yellowy orangey.
Yellow in texture.
Mostly. That's, you saying that's mostly? No, that's a minor. Mostly,
That one you're pointing to.
yeah,
Oh, that one.
Gray, bluish gray.
yeah.
Dark
Grays.
gray.
Gray,
Blue.
turquoise, yeah. See, doing that gets you to start thinking that way. Instead of saying, I'm gonna paint a covered wagon. Say, I want to paint the, like, you have to know that, like Wyatt, that's his feeling tone about everything. So why would he change the colors? And when he was 19, he painted like Winslow Homer, but once he found out who he was, he just kept painting neutral paints the rest of his life. And he did pretty well. I think, these things are worth doing.
Nice.
Because in addition to the downs, there's such freedom, the marks. I could not conceive of coming up with some way of getting these marks. See, I think that's beautiful. And that's beautiful, and that's good. They're all beautiful. My first workshop, I had a master's degree when I took my first watercolor workshop with Ed Whitney. I didn't know who he was, but I'll just tell you the story. I went to Maine. He was in Maine, introduced myself. I hadn't signed up for the class. He said, okay. So I was in his class. The first day we went out into a boat yard and I painted when I was excited, and I painted like these colors, bright, like that. He went up for critique the next morning and Ed said, take this kid all the way to Maine, take him to a worm-eating boat yard, and he paints a goddamn Mardi Gras. Take it down. That was my introduction to Ed Whitney. The next day I said, well, he obviously doesn't like bright colors, so I did one that was like this. When it went up for critique, he said, pea green, pea green, pea green, I'm sick of pea green, take it down. Those are tough critiques. I thought, oh my God, this is tough. But it was good. Do these. This is a good thing to do. And you do it, like I said, you tape them off and then you take black, and I use a 1-inch brush. And I just start up here black and then went through all of them. And then I went over into blue and then red and yellow and finally white. You'll find it's a lot of fun. I assume that none of you are opposed to enjoying this,
Oh, no.
unless I think we sabotage ourselves.
Skip, do you ever take these studies afterward and connect all 16 pieces?
You mean fill all this in?
Right, connect them in some way, either with line
I
or
think they are
color?
connected. The repetition of them,
Okay,
I wouldn't bother to put color in there, no.
But Skip, you're talking mostly about color dominance. Can you talk a little bit about what if it's multicolored but textural? Is that part of your 80-20 rule?
Yeah, try it. If you're gonna have color and texture, color's gonna win. And that's gonna override your texture thing. To really make texture dominant, you have to kind of back off a little bit on the color. Like this. See, that's about texture.
Mhm.
I guess this is about texture too. But yeah, listen, you got line and value and color and texture and shapes and sizes and directions. That's your vocabulary. You could have a dominance of every one of those things, but you have to determine which one. In line, it would be either straight line or curved line. This has more straight line, and this one has more curved line. Value, dark, light, medium. Texture, smooth. Do I have something smooth? I guess that's kind of smooth to rough. But you can have a texture and dominance of any one of those things, but you need to be more specific. And you got to be careful about your thinking. And I say, what dominates this? You say color. That's saying, not like said, what's a book about? You say words. We know that there's words, but you got to be more specific. Bright color, gray color, blue colors. What kind of color? That'll help you.
Mhm.
Also, don't be such a snob. I think it's great fun to get yourself some of these Caran d'Ache crayons. I mean, you people have no personality out here whatsoever. I keep looking at you, but you don't even show up. Yeah, a little piece of red, which is dirty, unfortunately. But you can use line, straight line, in conjunction with other things here. That line is never going to overpower those colors, but you could certainly use it. One of the things you want to be very conscious of, don't bore me. Don't do something just damn boring, because no one appreciates being duped by some boring painting. Anything but boring. One mistake I made when I physically built the studio 30, 40 years ago, and I was so damn poor that I didn't put a sink in it or a bathroom. Smart, huh?
Especially as we age.
Yes. I take a lot of walks to the house. Well, I think I've said everything I know about every subject. I hope this has been some help to you, and thank you all for coming or not coming for and from Lynn and Carol and Christina. Special thanks to you guys, because you did a lot of work to get me to come here. And then when it was all canceled, which made me really kind of sick. I was looking so forward to it. I had the car all packed. I was ready to go, but I
Well,
was not ready to die. So,
yeah, I think it was the right decision. And
oh, for sure. I just read today that these long-term illnesses result of COVID, they don't even know what stuff's coming. It's only been 2 years and these things are getting, the ones that are getting minor.
please don't talk
Cases.
about it. No more.
No more.
No.
Let's go smear some paint around.
Yeah.
Well, does anybody else have any questions before we close the meeting?
I was just gonna say, I know you all missed him because you couldn't do it on site, but I was really delighted when this happened, so I could watch him from Chicago.
Well, we're happy to have you here, Susan. Great.
Thanks.
Can I say something real quick too? Hi, for everyone that wasn't here. I'm Carly. I'm Skip's daughter, and I just wanted to say I'm very sad that he couldn't do this in person, but I'm just delighted that I got to be a part of this evening, because I don't get to see him do this very often for a long time. So it's very precious to me that I got to be a part of this experience. So thank you for allowing me to visit.
Oh,
How I do, Carly?
glad to have you.
You did great, Dad, as always.
It's always been she's grown up with this her whole life. We used to go to Maine every summer and there was always stuff going on.
Right, and that it's been that long since I got to watch him regularly do this. So
Has he gotten better?
yeah, he continuously amazes me he just continues to grow, and I'm just I mean, I know he's my dad, and I always say I know that I may be biased, but he truly just astounds me.
Yeah.
And he's the most amazing dad. So
Oh,
he
Nice.
is.
Yeah,
He
Tell
is
that. I could tell that.
amazing artist, amazing dad.
She always does this to me.
You're very lucky.
Oh, Dad.
Are you getting weepy, Skip? I'm getting weepy.
I am, yeah, she does it all the time.
Well,
These damn Christmas cards are just saying, oh my God.
Well,
It's the truth. Well, that's why it's so special for me to be able to be a part of this. So thank you.
Glad you found out about it. Did I tell you, or how did you find out?
Yes, you yes, you told me.
Good for me, Dad.
Thank you for allowing me to join.
well,
Thanks for
thank you to
coming.
everybody for
So
coming
nice to
too.
meet you.
And we will,
You too.
this recording, which I'm just about to stop, will appear on our Niagara Frontier Watercolor Society YouTube channel certainly by Saturday morning.
Can we all see it there?
You can all see it there. It's open it's a public YouTube channel. It's not a private thing just for NFWS members. So
Will you tell us how to get to it?
I will send out I'll send a link, which I'll include you and Skip,
Thank
so
you.
that you can click on it and get there. It's easy though. It's Niagara Frontier Watercolor Society, all written out, and your YouTube channel. And then when you get it, you hit videos and you'll see all the videos that we've collected, which are considerable.
Bet.
All the people who've demonstrated over the years here, some really good ones.
Was any of you in a class that I did 25, 30 years ago? Probably.
Karen Fagan was your NFWS person. She ran that workshop. She's not here.
I mean, I always remember there were 3 guys in there that day with like 3 musketeers. They doing all over the world doing workshops. And Bill Gates was one of them, and Lister Frost. And I forget the third one, but
Well,
they were good guys and good women too. All right, gang, thank you so much for inviting me and for all of it.
yeah, we appreciate you, all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yep.
We hope you'll
Wonderful.
get to Buffalo eventually.
Yeah, I'm gonna close the meeting for everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Skip.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Wonderful.